Hello, this is MusicTechHelpGuy, and welcome to this video overview on how I make my videos. Over the past few years since I started making YouTube videos, a lot of people have asked me how I make them, and I can think of over 100 different instances where someone's asked me that. I really enjoy producing videos for YouTube, and I have a total of 160 videos so far, and I have no plans on stopping. In this video, I'll give you guys a rough idea of the process I go through to make each video, but keep in mind this is in no way a complete tutorial on how to make videos because adding things like title animations and editing takes significantly more time and effort to do. The way I make mine is really quite simple, but piecing all of the parts together is what's difficult. I use a two-system method, so I have one computer recording the video and a separate computer simultaneously recording the audio. I record my videos with QuickTime on my Mac Pro, but simultaneously record the voiceover and other audio on a separate Mac Mini. I used to use other software in the past to record everything together, but I could never quite get the quality I was looking for, and you can really see that in some of my early uploads. After the video is shot, I use Logic to mix and edit all of the audio to video, and then I use After Effects to add my title animation and render the video in the correct format for YouTube. Also, if I'm recording a video where I have multiple clips that need to be edited together, I use After Effects to create transitions and fades to edit those clips together. So this diagram will hopefully make some sense on how I hook up two computers, two audio interfaces, and one mic to make my videos. I run the DAW on my Mac Pro, so Logic, Pro Tools, whatever I'm doing a tutorial on, and I run a QuickTime screen capture while I do the video tutorial. The Mac Pro is connected to a Focusrite Liquid Sapphire 56 via a FireWire connection as my main interface for that computer. Then on a separate computer, on my Mac Mini, I have Audacity running. Connected to the Mac Mini is an Alesis IO26 audio interface. I run a stereo cable from my headphone out on my Sapphire to inputs 1 and 2 on my IO26. And I also connect my voiceover mic, which is usually an AKG C414, to input 3 on the IO26. So in Audacity, I set it up for 3 channels of recording. 1 and 2 are capturing any audio output from my DAW from the Mac Pro, and 3 captures my voiceover from the C414. If you're trying to mimic this setup, just realize that you don't need a Mac Pro or a Mac Mini specifically to make this work. You can really have any computer, and as far as your interfaces are concerned, you could have just a cheap M-Box or even just go line input on your audio computer. So you really don't have to have 2 interfaces like I have. I just choose to do it this way because this is the way it works out best for me. In the next 2 sections, I'll go into more detail on how I set up QuickTime and Audacity. So after I open up the project I'm going to be working on for my video tutorial, here I'm working on a Pro Tools tutorial, I open up QuickTime Player and I go up to File, New Screen Recording. And what this does is it captures a screen recording of the entire screen or a selection of the screen. The cool thing about using QuickTime is it doesn't require you to buy any extra software to do this. You can shoot video at whatever the maximum resolution of your display is, even if it's 1080p. So all I have to do at this point is just press record in the screen recording dialog in QuickTime, and then make sure to press record in Audacity on my Mac Mini to simultaneously capture the audio. So after the tutorial is done, all I have to do is stop QuickTime, stop the video capture, and give the file a name and save it to the desktop. One thing I like to do when I do my QuickTime screen capture is create a visual and audio cue. This could be something as simple as snapping my fingers while I click on a few clips, but this will help me to keep everything in sync later when I work in Logic. On my Mac Mini, I'll set up an Audacity project where I'm receiving input from my Alesis FireWire and receiving 3 total channels, with the first channel being my left music channel, the second being my right music channel, and the third being my voiceover channel. Again, keep in mind I'm recording this simultaneously while recording the QuickTime screen capture. After the audio is all recorded, I'll usually make channel 1 and 2 a stereo track because this is coming from the Sapphire as a stereo signal. And then what I'll do is I'll go File, Export Multiple, and export both of these two tracks, one stereo and one mono, as two separate AIFF or WAV files. All right, so we've got our folder here with our raw video and audio files in it. So we've got our raw video here. Everything looks good. Everything looks okay. There's no sound. We're going to add the sound to it. We have our raw voiceover track. Video. So what I was saying is that is showing you that we have, and we have our raw music track that coming from the DAW via the Sapphire. So really what we have to do is drop this video into Logic, drop both of the audio tracks into Logic, and sync them up. So to start, I'm going to create a mono audio track in Logic and label it voiceover. And then I'm going to create another audio track. And this one I'm going to label music. This is my stereo track, so I'm going to change the format to stereo by clicking on the little circle here. And next I'm going to import that video. So I'm going to go File, Movie, and then go to Open Movie. You can also use the key command, Option Command O. Find that movie file on the desktop there. And again, this movie file has no audio in it. So episode 8 video, I'm going to import that. It's going to open up the video. So I'm actually editing a Pro Tools video in Logic and make the video a little smaller. Normally when I work on this, I put it on a separate screen, but since I'm doing this for YouTube, I need to sort of fit this all on one display. So I'm just going to make the video real small here so you can see both the audio and the video at the same time. By the way, when you close the video, it'll actually open up the movie in its own little window, but you can double click on it to open it back up. All right, so let's import our audio. So actually first I'm going to change my my grid. I'm going to turn off the grid, turn off the metronome, the count off, and let's grab our audio from our folder here. I'm going to pull in the voiceover track and then pull in the music track, which was stereo. And here it is. Hello, this is MusicTechHelpGuy, and welcome to episode 8 of my Pro Tools 11 video tutorial series. So unfortunately, when I made this video, I didn't follow my own rule of making sure to snap and create some visual and audio cues so I can match all the audio up later. So it's going to take significantly more time for me to go and try to match all this up. I'm going to have to find some sort of audio and visual cue, like a click track or a transient or something along those lines to match this up. So give me a second to match this up and I'll be right back. There it is. We're not really going to deal much with MIDI editing for a while, but for now I'm going to use the grabber tool to double click on my MIDI clip. So I ended up having to use the metronome as a cue to sync up the audio to the video, which was really a pain in the ass. It took me a lot of time to do that. If you just do the visual audio cue at the beginning of the video, like I said before, you'll save yourself a lot of time and hassle. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim up the voiceover and the music track because I don't want to have all this extra space. So let's trim this up a bit more. Create a quick little fade there. And then we'll do the same at the end of the project. However, see this big pop here? That was an audio cue to myself that I screwed up, and I need to put another take in there. Hand balancer. That's a problem. Oh, hang on, someone's trying to call me. Yeah, someone was calling me. Utilizing a stereo track, so it has both a left and a right pan balancer. That's a problem. Oh, hang on, So someone tried to call me while I was making the video, and I had to split this into two separate takes. So the problem with trying to do this with a stereo track is that stereo tracks actually have two. So that's where the new take starts, and I need to cut out all of this gap in between. So I'm just going to use the marquee tool and drag over all this and delete everything I don't need. All right, so I've got my two parts here. I've got my two takes. Each one is going to be a separate part that I'm going to join together in After Effects later. But the problem is the voiceover is still kind of weak sounding. In volume, mute, and pan automation to create some... So I have a channel strip setting I created that's a custom voiceover setting, and it just uses two plugins. It uses the HEQ from Waves as well as the CLA2A from Waves. So let's see what this sounds like. Cool creative things. So the most basic function of the pencil tool is that you can use it in freehand or line mode to draw in volume automation. So let's say that I wanted my... So after some just basic tweaking on my voiceover, I also have a master output setting that I've created that's basically just the Waves L1, just to keep everything from clipping. My strings here to sort of fade in, automation that you don't, just like so. In this little volume swell, and if I get enough of them, I can copy those and paste those as well. So now I get something like this. By the way, if I sound a little bit dull, it's because I've added a low pass filter to the audio track in the video, so just so you can distinguish between me talking now and the video talking. This is not something you want to do when you create your video. Another thing I like to do is normalize the music track just to bring it up to a higher volume if it wasn't recorded loud enough, because sometimes with all the compression and the vocals, the voiceover will sound a lot louder than the music, so I want them to both sort of be about the same volume. So it looks like we've brought up our music to a more consistent volume. All right, so now we just have to export our two different clips. You just drag over the clips, press the Set Locators button. It's going to wrap the locators around the stereo music track and the voiceover track. Go to File, Movie, and go to Export Audio to Movie. We can give it a name. I'll just call it Episode 8, Voiceover Part 1. And it's going to export everything in between the locators, which is really cool. It's sort of like you get a little bit of almost like video editing in Logic that you wouldn't otherwise, get in any other program. You can do some just basic cropping. It's not fades or transitions or anything like that. But it's cool that you can take a long video like this and you can cut it into several different smaller pieces, and then add those pieces together and get rid of some of the extraneous material in between. All right, well, this is the perfect time for me to take a sip of my alcoholic beverage here while we wait. All right, so that clip is exported. Now I'm just going to drag over the second half, hit the Set Locators button, go File, Movie, Export Audio to Movie again. We're going to call this Episode 8, Voiceover Part 2. And once this exports, we're going to have two separate MOV files out in that folder that we're going to join together in After Effects. So we're adding our fully mixed, fully edited audio straight into our high-quality MOV file. And then in After Effects, we'll go in and we will add our title animation, do our transitions, fades, and things like that, and then finally render the whole project as a new file for YouTube. All right, so after exporting the two videos from Logic, you should see the movie files that you exported from Logic. Here I have Episode 8 VO Part 1 and Part 2. So those are my video files with sound that have been mixed and edited from Logic. In my After Effects stuff folder, I have my intro music. I just composed that in Logic, and then my title animation. Now I can't really give you too much of a tutorial on title animations because I actually purchased this one from pond5.com, and I just altered it and changed the text in it and shortened it a bit. I also have this After Effects project. It's just a blank After Effects project that we're going to load all four of these files into and then build the final project. So what I'm going to do is just load in all four of those files into this After Effects project. So the title animation, the intro music. I'm going to go back to the previous screen, load in my two videos, part 1 and part 2. Then what I need to do is I can load these 4 files down on the timeline. So I'm going to load my title animation, my intro music, as well as part 1 and part 2 of the tutorial. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my composition settings, because I know that this project is going to be somewhere around 20 or 22 minutes long. So I'm just going to type in 22 minutes for the duration of the project, zoom out a bit, and you can see the length of all the clips there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take part 1 and line it up with the end of the title animation, not the end of the sound of the background music, because I actually want the background music to overlap a bit. Then I'm going to align the end of the first clip with the second clip. And then finally, I just need to take the cursor here while holding Shift and align this up with the back end of the second part. And that goes to 20, 45, and 24 frames. So I'm going to go to my composition settings, and I'm going to set this to 20, 45, and we'll just say 0.2 frames. Oh, wait. Hang on. Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to make this a little longer than that. Actually, you know, it already made it longer than that. Let's just grab this guy here and shorten it up a bit. There we go. The other thing I need to do is I need to create a fade, for a visual fade for the title animation and for all the episode parts. I'm going to go to my effects and presets, go to my animation presets, go to behaviors, and go to fade in and out milliseconds. Double click on this. It's going to add a quick fade in and fade out on each of these clips. So my title animation and both parts of the tutorial will now have a quick black in, black out fade. So just so you can see this a little better, let me zoom in, drag the cursor so it blacks in or blacks out. So it fades to black and fades from black. So there we go. And then finally, the last thing I need to do in After Effects is just go to File, Create Proxy, and then go to Movie. And this is how you render out your movie as a single file. For my render settings, I choose the best settings. And then from the output module, I choose H.264, which is the YouTube compression. Double click on Output 2 and give this a name. I'm just going to call it Pro Tools 11, Episode 8, because that's the video we're working on. Save that, and then hit render. Now this is a 20-something minute file, and you'll see that the estimated time to render this is going to be about an hour. I mean, it takes a while. I mean, it all depends on your video card. I have a decent video card, but not a great video card. I replaced the stock Mac video card with a better GeForce card. So it's a little bit faster than it used to be. But yeah, about a 20-minute file, a 20-minute video is going to take about an hour to render. So this will be my MP4 file when I'm all said and done that I can upload to YouTube. Now, I'm not going to sit here for an hour and let this whole thing render. I'm just going to basically end the video here. I really hope this has helped anyone who's looking into creating videos, even if it's not for, music tutorials. Now, if it's for gaming or something along those lines. Gaming's a little bit different, because if you use like a PS4 or an Xbox or something like that, you may have to get like a video capture device, a separate video capture device. I actually have an HD PVR box, and I don't use it for any of my music tutorials. I only use it when I need to capture video continuously, regardless of the computer shutting down and starting up. So maybe I'll talk about using that in another video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.